Hey guys, so I'm here with my boyfriend Andrew,
and I'm with my girlfriend Devyn.
Yes, and we decided to do a couples Q&A. I'd asked you guys on my Instagram story if that was something that you were interested in seeing, and the majority said yes. So here we are with a list of questions that you guys asked us, and we actually got so many that we're probably going to make 2 videos. So if we don't answer your question in this video, don't worry, we're going to make another one and we will answer them all. Number 1, how did we meet and what drew us together? So essentially, you could say that the Beatles drew us together, yeah?
Exactly.
Backstory, I used to live in Missouri for 3 years, my 7th, 8th, and 9th grade year of school, and in Branson there is a tribute band called Liverpool Legends. And after I graduated high school, I lived in Wisconsin then, I made a road trip to Branson. I went and saw the Liverpool Legends, and I got to know the owner of the band, and he plays George most of the time as well. His name's Marty. Shout out to Marty. So I got to know him and we became friends, and then Andrew also knew Marty. So Andrew, how did you know Marty?
I knew Marty from playing in Beatles tribute bands in Chicago.
Yep, so Andrew was subbing for Marty in one of the Liverpool Legends shows, and even though I wasn't there, I saw the video of that show on Facebook, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's not Marty. And so I messaged Marty and I was like, hey, who is this guy who's playing George? I didn't know that anybody else like subbed in for you if you couldn't do a show or anything like that. And he's like, oh, that's Andrew. And so I didn't have his last name or anything, but I did some research. Eventually I found him, I messaged him, and yeah.
So I had a couple grandmothers message me that day, and I thought there was 3, but there's actually just 2. One of them was Devyn, and I thought that it was Patty Boyd. It was actually Devyn, just in the profile picture, looks a lot like Patty Boyd.
So yeah, that was funny. So he thought I was an old lady. But anyways,
exactly.
We started talking that day, which was September 15th, 2016. Then we gave each other our Snapchat.
Yeah, we switched to Snapchat right away.
Yeah, definitely. And then we just started talking every single day. Since then, we haven't talked, or we haven't gone a day without talking since then. And yeah, so essentially that's how we met. Alright, question number 2. What were our first impressions of each other? And we're gonna go off of our first impressions of like meeting in person. So mine, he got in the car, and before, when I was like driving to go meet him, I was super nervous about just like not having anything to say, or if I looked different in my pictures. But he just got in the car and it felt like we knew each other forever. He was so nice. The conversation just like was flowing. We just sat in the car and talked about music, and he was a total gentleman. He didn't like try anything, which, you know, is kind of rare these days, and I think you need to be friends before anything, so that's really important to me, and it showed that that was to him as well, so that meant a lot.
Yeah. So I got in the car, and I knew that I really liked her already because of the previous conversations we've had, and I could just tell that we were a good fit for each other, and I had a feeling that I just needed to protect her and stuff like that.
Yeah, so good first impressions.
Yeah. Good first date, good first impressions.
Yeah. Alright, question number 3, and 4, kind of like it was the same person, but yeah, 2 different questions. So how did we meet, or how did we get to know each other, and how did we get into a relationship? So we mainly got to know each other over like Snapchats and texting, since we were a long distance relationship at first. And we got into a relationship after our first date. We weren't technically like in a relationship, I would say, because I was kind of in denial. I was like, I don't want a boyfriend. I just kind of had like a bad breakup and everything. And so
neither of us were looking for a relationship. We ended up just having a feeling that we needed to be it because it was too good to lose.
Yeah, and we had hung out with each other like 2 nights in a row. Like I drove to Galena, Illinois, where his family's from, and I got to meet his family, and we had our first kiss there, which was really nice. And then I think it was the Saturday after that was a Thursday. Then Saturday I went to Chicago and I went to one of his shows, and later that night he told me that he loved me, and I was really in shock, but it was so nice, and yeah, it was really in the moment, so I just felt like it was really authentic. And
it was. You were going back the next day and I had to get it out before it wasn't in person.
Yeah, so that was really sweet. And then I had gotten back home and everything, and we were texting, And we were just like, yeah, so I guess we should be dating now. And yeah,
We made it official.
that's how it happened. All right, question number 4 is, what was our first date like? So our first date was seeing
Alice Cooper.
Yes, and so I love Alice Cooper, and I was living in Appleton, Wisconsin at the time, which was just 1.5 hours from Milwaukee, which is where the concert was, which is also only like 1.5 hours from Chicago.
So it's a good halfway point.
Yeah, it was really nice, and I didn't have anybody to go with, so I was totally gonna go alone just because I don't care, I love Alice Cooper, and I was talking to Andrew about it, and he's like, well, why don't I just go with you? So yeah, we sat on the phone before we had even like met each other in person, and he bought the ticket, and yeah, so we met up at the Alice Cooper concert in Milwaukee at night, and we just kind of sat in my car and listened to music before we went in, and then we went inside, and we got lost trying to get into the like seating area. Don't you remember? We were like walking around, and we couldn't find the entrance in there, so we were like...
And some lady acted like we were supposed to know where we're... How to go up the stairs or wherever we needed to go.
It was like the most confusing theater ever. Anyways, we were like trying to get through these curtains, and then this guy that was like standing there, he like worked there, but he didn't say anything to us. And as we were like trying to get through the curtains, we were like, is this the way? And he's like, oh no. And we were like, well, why didn't you just tell us? Because we're like sitting there like trying to get through the curtains. Anyways, it was ridiculous. But overall, the date was really nice, and it was really fun.
Yeah, and then afterwards we walked around the city.
Yeah, we did. We didn't want to go home, so we just like literally walked around the whole city, and then it started pouring rain on us.
Yeah.
And so we were like running through. It was really romantic and sweet. And yeah, and then my dad called me. Don't you remember that?
Yeah, he was like, are you almost home? And you're like, nope, I haven't even left yet.
Yeah, we were supposed to be going to Missouri that next day, and so he wanted me to be home, and it was like midnight. He was like, what? Why aren't you coming home? But anyways, yeah, I love you, Dad. He was just being protective. So,
of course.
Yeah, that was our first date. How long have we been together?
We've been together 1.5 years.
Yep, 1.5 years. So we started dating, we counted on the first day that we started talking. So September 15th, 2016. And yeah, so 2 years is coming up this fall.
Yeah, we made it official shortly after.
Yeah, so...
We just backtracked a little bit.
It was just kind of like we were already in a relationship because we were texting every day, and yeah, so...
Yeah.
Do we both share a love for the 60s and 70s? And that is...
yes, we do.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. That's kind of what brought us together.
Our favorite music is from the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah, and as you can kind of tell, that's kind of our style. Yes. Definitely.
And the 50s, too.
Yeah, and the 50s. More 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Which is, who do we look up to from that era being the 60s and 70s? Andrew, you can go first.
The Beatles and AC/DC for bands, specific people, all of the Beatles and Angus Young and Malcolm Young.
Yep. And for me, I obviously look up to a lot of musicians, but as a woman, I definitely look up to Patty Boyd. She's like my #1 inspiration. I love her book. I love her photography. I love her modeling work, her style, everything. She is just like an angel. I obviously love Twiggy. She's a total icon. I love Edie Sedgwick and pretty much all of the like iconic women of that era. All right. The next question is, who are our favorite artists? And name a few. So a couple of my favorite artists, =1's always the Beatles. I think that's the same for Andrew for sure. As you can see kind of in the background behind us, not
Beatles.
Too much, but yeah, those are Beatles.
Steppenwolf.
So yeah, definitely the Beatles. Then I really like the Velvet Underground. I love the Kinks like so much. I also really love Alice Cooper too, so yeah. But I kind of like all of the 60s and 70s music, but I'd say the top ones that I listen to would be like the Beatles and the Kinks. And I really like the Trogs too. I like the Zombies.
I like Hank Williams, the Everly Brothers, Elvis, Roy Orbison, Carl Perkins. A lot of those great guitar players from the 50s. Chuck Berry, yes, yeah.
All right, so next the question is, what are our favorite things about each other? And I kind of have a couple favorite things. So I'm gonna say like, as his physical human body favorite things, I really like his eyes are really nice and they're pretty big, and I really like his style and his hair. And then personality-wise, I really like that he's like such a hard worker and he's very dedicated and very much into learning. Like, he's always just trying to learn something new, which I really admire. And I'd like to take a little bit into my personality. So yeah.
My favorite thing is your personality and the aura, like the energy that you give off is always so positive, and everyone that is around Devyn is always happy.
Aw.
And definitely her fashion, you can't miss that.
Alright, next is who are our biggest style inspirations / where do we get our outfit ideas from? So Andrew, take it away.
You go first.
Okay, so obviously I get a lot of my style inspirations from the 60s and 70s, but specifically, definitely Patty, Twiggy for sure. I really like Edie's look, how it kind of reminds me of like dance outfits, like ballet, lots of like legs showing, not in like a sexual way or anything, but she wears like shorts and tights and like just kind of like tunic style shirts, so I really dig that. And yeah, but I like to take more than just like copying somebody's style. I like to take a lot of different styles and kind of mold it together to be my own. So really whatever I like, I just kind of wear, I guess, in that sense.
That's exactly for me, because I don't take necessarily style from any particular people. I just think you should be comfortable when you see something in the store and you think it's cool. You shouldn't really have to overthink it. You should just be like, I think I would look good in that, I'm gonna get it. And that's pretty much what I do.
And you look pretty cool.
Target has a lot of good things. I get most
Target's
of my
got
stuff
good
from Target.
stuff. Yeah.
But a lot of what I'm wearing now is from Alcala's in Chicago, a cool country western store.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Alright, the next question is, what do we consider to be our song?
Some Kind of Wonderful was a song that we heard around the first couple times that we were taking trips out. We would listen to music and just drive around because we didn't actually have anywhere to go.
No, we started off as a long distance relationship when he was living in Chicago and I was living in Osage Beach, Missouri, and so we would drive like every other weekend halfway, which was like 4 hours kind of, and so we'd just drive around a lot just to hang out with each other. And so this was a song that we listened to a lot, and it just kind of, yeah, stuck.
It described a certain feeling.
Yeah.
Some kind of wonderful.
Grand Funk Railroad.
Can't put your finger on.
So, the next question is, where does our love for the 60s and 70s music come from? And it definitely started with the Beatles for me. A friend introduced me to Hey Jude, and I just kind of got like hooked on that, and which made me dive into all of their other music. And this was the end of my freshman year of high school. So yeah, I kind of was like late to the party, but
I think you first hear a song from, or maybe a band that you like from the 60s and 70s, and then you check out other bands from the same time, and you realize that just the further back you look in music, almost the better it is. So even the 50s and the 40s, and
it's all cool.
As far as back as you can go, but it's all recorded in a more natural way, like straight to tape. The bands are playing together, and something about tape in general.
Yeah, it's really authentic.
It's more authentic. That's why.
Yeah, definitely.
Once you hit the 80s, you start getting less authentic with like oversaturated reverbs and just using tricks in the studio, and it starts becoming like a studio project rather than like just recording bands for how they sounded.
Yeah. Next question is, what are your favorite compilation / live rock albums?
If you want blood, you've got it.
Yeah.
Live, 1978, AC/DC. It's the best sounding live band you'll ever hear. Get it on vinyl, play it loud. That's how it's meant to be heard.
Yeah, definitely.
What's your answer?
I don't really have any favorites, because if I'm listening to music like on my phone or in my car or something, I don't really like to hear people screaming. I just really want to hear the music. And I love going to like bands and everything, like that's my favorite thing to do, is to watch live music. But if I'm just in my car, I really just want to hear the music for what it is. So yeah, that's what my answer is. What do you think makes you and Andrew work so well? I definitely think that we work really well together because we're both very mindful of each other and courteous, and so I never really get angry with him or anything, or like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just like he's really easy to live with and really easy to get along with, and we are opposites in some ways that it complements each other, and we both know that we're opposites with a lot of things, so we always take that into account, like when one does something and the other one's like, well, that's not like what I would do. We just kind of know that we're like different people in that sense, and so we both are really good, I think, at like opening our eyes and like mind to look at things in a different perspective and from somebody else's like view of life, you know, putting yourself in their shoes. So I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, that's exactly it. To add to that, I think that we have a very similar vision for the future and a focus for what we like doing, and our projects that we work on, they're very similar and they work well together.
Alright, so that was the end of this question. We are going to film the rest of the questions now and just make it into a different video so that there's not like one gigantically long video, because I feel like we both kind of talk a lot, or mainly it's just me that talks a lot. But anyways, that's the end of part 1 of this Q&A, and stay tuned for part 2.
Bye.